Welcome to Super Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have with us Mark Fidelman. Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well, and it's Fidelman.
Oh, I was going to just ask you, did I do the last name correctly or not? I apologize. Repeat that.
That's all right. Mark Fidelman.
Fidelman. That's a cool name, Fidelman.
Yes.
Fidelman. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Mark.
it's different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how are you?
I'm doing well. It's pretty early. I realize it's not for you in Toronto, but
well, you know what? I'm glad to have you.
Early, so bear with me.
No worries, my friend.
I appreciate it.
No, you look great. I'm glad that you're here. Spread your message to the audience. We always like to kind of allow our guests to take the stage and, in your own words, kind of introduce yourself, please.
No worries. Well, I've basically had two careers my entire life. One is in sales, one is in marketing. I much prefer marketing. I'm a better fit there, but I understand and appreciate and love the sales side of the equation, because ultimately, that's what you need is revenue in these entrepreneurial businesses, especially revenue. It's the fuel that drives entrepreneurs, or should be driving entrepreneurs, if they want to move from startup idea to bigger company that can sustain your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. So how long you been in marketing?
Ooh, I'd say the last 15 years.
Oh, that's a handful of experience.
Yeah, it's something I basically fell into because I was part of the sales team. This was a long time ago. And I kept going to marketing and saying, we have a huge marketing department. I haven't received a single lead in like six months. And this is on the B2B side. And so I kept telling them what to do. They'd shoo me out of the marketing department and laughing, cackling, oh, you don't have any marketing experience. And then one day, somebody said, okay, we're going to do what this annoying guy is telling us to do. They did it, and it worked. Finally, we were generating some real leads, some qualified leads that did help the team. And so then they slowly but surely brought me into the fold and made me, I think, an honorary member of the marketing team. That was my first foray into marketing.
Wow. You don't seem annoying, so I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, that might be now.
Yeah.
but before, I was pretty passionate about the sales team and making sure that we had enough leads to sustain the business.
Uh-huh. So what are your top 3 recommendations for lead gen?
Well, B2B lead gen?
Yes.
I would say the top 3 recommendations are, first of all, really understand who your customer is number 1. And then number 2, where are they? Are they on social channels? Are they only at conferences? I've seen that. Where are they? And then build campaigns that will trigger them to act. Would be number 3. And if you get those 3 right, then you're going to see a lot of leads, assuming your product is good. There's a good market fit for it.
Mm. And what do you compared to paid ads and paid marketing, right? And organic, what is your go-to?
Well, I mean, my go-to is social ads. If you know what you're doing, whether you're B2B or B2C, you can target pretty well. Not as well as 5 years ago with Facebook, but you could target pretty well with Google, Facebook, sometimes LinkedIn, depending on what it is that you're doing. And if you know what you're doing, you can build a credible campaign. That is the way to go. It's always worked for me.
But with the new updates and stuff, right, with Facebook and the privacy settings on the new OS, is it more difficult? to reach your target?
Yeah, it is more difficult to narrow it down.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be that you could find a soccer mom driving a white Lexus that's got 30,000 miles on it. No, I'm exaggerating.
I know that's
you
really
could go
deep.
pretty deep.
Yeah.
Right. And then the privacy advocates got involved, and then a few, unfortunate events happened with some of the people that were exploiting Facebook, and now they've really kind of clamped down on it, which I find unfortunate. Other people might find reassuring.
Uh-huh.
But your ability to target now is you're like shooting into a stadium as opposed to down a neighborhood street.
Mm. So Facebook has been the biggest tool to get to the target, right, and speak to the people that we need to speak to. Now that we don't, not as much, right? We don't want to go to Facebook, for example. What would be another recommendation nowadays instead of going to Facebook? What would you recommend to spend money on ads? Where exactly?
Yeah, I mean, if you're using ads, then it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube has always been number one. I think it'll continue to be number one. So I would, if your target audience isn't on Facebook, then I would move. I'd be on YouTube anyway, but YouTube, I'd say Instagram and TikTok in that order.
Mm. But Instagram also has the privacy settings, right?
Yes, it does, because it's basically Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Let's face it.
Yeah.
But it's still got pretty good targeting, and if you work with an influencer, you can target pretty well. Do a paid ad with an influencer, and you target their audience. You could do a pretty good job on Instagram of getting leads,
like a shout out.
Yeah, like a shout out, or do some sort of collaboration, depending on what your product is. But it's paid ad so that you can use their audience and your own to have a call to action that isn't, hey, go to the link in my bio. You can have the link right there. So it's a lot easier to drive people to take action to a specific website, a landing page, for example.
And for example, a coach or a mentor or trainer, right, just getting into the business world on his own and he or her own, what would you suggest they do? Do you recommend, in your expertise, get a website done, or start doing paid ads or doing cold calling? Like, what would you recommend step by step, maybe top 3 of how they should approach this new career that they're going into?
Wow. I mean, coaching specifically, again, depends on who you're targeting. So let's assume you've got all your targeting down.
Yeah.
And then I would start to let's say it's coaching entrepreneurs. I would go to entrepreneur groups that allow advertising, like on LinkedIn and Facebook to some extent, and any place where these people are congregating. And I would make sure that there would be an advertisement about me, a short video about how I can help their business become better. And here's my experience. Here's what I've done. Here's what the results are that you could potentially expect if you join my coaching program, for example. And again, it's all about the formula, but the formula is one thing. It's also, what are the ingredients in it, and then what's the end result? Because what you really want is a call to action strong enough to get people to take a first step with you. It doesn't need to be, hey, sign up for my coaching. It could be, hey, download the top 5 recommendations as an entrepreneur to get funding, for example, because you might be a coach that helps them get funded. Again, purely making this up on the fly. We didn't discuss this.
Yeah, we're just chit-chatting. Yeah, it's just, But well, for your own business right now, what are you doing? Like, what can you share anything that is working for you right now? Yeah,
I mean, we're doing 2 things. We're doing e-commerce. We're doing crypto. the things that really work for us are paid ads, of course, and then working with influencers that target the audience that we want. So those two things, and there's many things. The number one thing everyone should be doing is building a community around your brand. Now, if you're an entrepreneur starting out, that's difficult to do. Mm-hmm. But if you've got a small team, there should be somebody in charge of social and community that knows what they're doing. And the community wouldn't be around your brand. It would be around a problem that you're solving. For example, coaching. I could see, and I know these exist because I've seen them. You could start a coaching Facebook group that just basically says, hey, ask me anything. You answer their question, and potentially, because you're answering their questions, they want to hire you, or at least the community's helping them with other things, and they get value out of your community. You're in the back of their mind. So if somebody else or they themselves want to hire you in the future, they're going to go to you first.
So for your business, do you actually provide marketing services to businesses and coaching, or is it like how does it work if someone wanted to work with you?
Yeah, we don't do coaching. We basically will come in and take over your marketing of your business would be what we prefer. Mm-hmm. Secondarily, we'll focus on one area, like e-commerce, for example. If you want to build this e-commerce engine with a funnel system, with access to influencers, if you just want to bring us in and become, and you need a growth engine, we're it. But we'll either take over the entire marketing or sit alongside them and do very specific things.
Have you ever experienced going into a company and taking over their marketing, but you found it to be a complete collapse and you had to rebuild from ground up?
Most of the time. Yeah. And it's not that they're doing anything egregious. Mm-hmm. It's just that it wasn't built. Maybe it was started by an entrepreneur. Maybe it was started by an engineer.
Yeah.
And they don't know what they don't know. Engineers, and I'm generalizing, they're smart engineers, right? Really smart. But they typically don't understand, how to market. They just don't know how to encourage people to come look at their ideas and their products. Mm-hmm. So any department started by an engineer, I'd be a little concerned.
Got it. Mark, so what do you think? What is your view on audio compared to video? So if you mentioned YouTube, right? Doing ads on YouTube and marketing on YouTube.
Yeah.
I agree. YouTube is primary, especially nowadays. But audio is growing in popularity, and plus the audience has a higher income bracket as well, right? So what do you recommend entrepreneurs to do when it comes to audio?
It's a great question.
Thanks.
So here's the thing. Audio is a lot less expensive to do a podcast versus a video cast, like what you and I are doing on YouTube. I don't know what you spend on each episode, but mine is probably 10 times the amount I spend on a podcast because I want it edited really well. It's so much more in production. Yeah. You got to make sure your guest has got the right lighting and camera, or if it's on site, oh my gosh, you got to hire a film crew, audio crew. It gets extremely expensive. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to get the word out about, the problem you're solving in the industry through guests, or you use your podcast to meet people, I think that's the best thing entrepreneurs can do. Yeah. Then I would start with audio and maybe start recording it and putting it out on YouTube, even though there's not really a lot of production value. Because podcasts, as you know, can be listened to in a car. Yeah. So if your audience drives a lot, then a podcast is probably the way to go anyway, because I suspect no one's watching our YouTube channels on audio while working out or in the car. I suspect. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it's hard to keep it on. But if
they were driving all the time. Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. Every time your phone shuts off, the audio shuts off, for one. but it's much more. It's less expensive and probably reaches more people on audio in the beginning. Although I'll say calls to action, having people listen to, hey, go to this website or this phone number, not as effective as YouTube and video, where you can put links in text and below the episode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Definitely, like YouTube, just audio is not going to work. Like you mentioned, what one thing I don't like about YouTube is when I'm watching something, and if I want to do something or do something else while I'm listening to it in my ear, if I put it in my pocket or if I touch it or something, right, I'll lose it and I have to go back. So audio and podcasts are good. You just turn them on and you're good to go. And we also, that's what we do. We help people launch their own show. And having your own show as an entrepreneur, you create a beautiful platform to be around your ideal clients, ideal prospects. And those relationships are so much more powerful than just trying to pitch something to someone, right? You build a foundational relationship with someone, which is priceless.
It's a very good point. You want people to call you that feel like they already know you.
Yeah.
And if you've got there, I mean, the trust factor is off the charts.
Yes.
And they're much more likely to hire you.
Yes.
There's no question.
Yes. Yes. And what are your views on Clubhouse, the audio app? I know it was huge during the COVID, right? Everybody was cozy in their house, in their trackpads. But now that everything is opened up, what do you see? How is it for lead gen, and what do you think it will be like in the future?
I haven't been on Clubhouse in a long time. I have been on the Twitter version of it. But to me,
I didn't
know
a lot of Twitter
people like
had
to hear
one.
themselves talk. Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Twitter feature. It's always somebody's always on doing something. For me, it didn't generate much. It doesn't have the effect that I thought it would, because it's usually not an organized thing. Usually it's, hey, a bunch of people appear on stage, virtual stage, and start talking, and it's not structured, and you don't control the people that are up there. Some things are very, very valuable. I'm sure someone listening to this or watching this has found a way to make Clubhouse valuable for them because of their target audience. Mm-hmm. But like for coaching, it's probably a good idea. Mm-hmm. But it's a big investment. You've got to really work at bringing people to your live events. Unless they're sitting in Clubhouse and they have their had their notifications on, getting them all to attend live is difficult. That's why I like these recorded versions of what we're doing. Do it live and recorded. The problem with live and recorded is, unless you're editing after the live version, you just get a live recording without all. I like to bring B-roll in. I like to bring animations in, just to explain what it is that we're talking about.
That's cool.
So for me, Clubhouse wasn't very effective. I think that's proven true for marketers. Mm-hmm. I'm saying marketers. Mm-hmm. I think Twitter is probably a little bit better, because if you got a good Twitter following, you can not only tweet, but you can have them join audio when you're on and they're on Twitter. So I would check out probably the Twitter version of it. But for me, it's not my top 5.
Yeah. I find Clubhouse, I've been going a few days since last week, and I noticed that if you're not on the top, like if you're not the actual moderator in a bigger room, it's really hard to stand out, because whoever's in the audience is actually there just looking at that moderator, just waiting for what he's going to give out, what he's going to share, and if they ever decide to hire someone or work with someone, their eyes are on that moderator. That's everything else is just noise, right? And that's what it's starting to feel like.
Yeah. Well, for me, you also don't have calls to action unless it's changed in the last 6 months. How do I get a link?
Yeah, they have it. Yeah.
I think you have to go to the moderator's bio and and put a link in there.
You put it there.
But again,
no, they put it on the room now. Just
they
the
do.
moderators.
Okay. All right. Well, that's better. Maybe I should get back in. Yeah, just the moderators.
I'd love to see you there.
What if there's like 10 moderators?
Yeah, they just pick
what if there's like 10 moderators?
So each person who's speaking, that's when they link up their link.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's better.
Yeah.
That's definitely better. Is there advertising in Clubhouse yet?
I don't think they're ever going to do that. And, I was speaking to someone yesterday. I was interviewing someone. They said, their expertise is audio. And she was saying that they missed a boat because they lost a ton of revenues during COVID in advertising, but that's their policy. They didn't want to incorporate advertising.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what are your?
I'd encourage you to check out.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I would just say check out the Twitter version of it. I think it'll be more effective for you.
Mm-hmm. So what do you consider your inner superpower that got you to this point?
I'd say perseverance. Just trying new things, developing new ideas, working on specific formulas for success. I like to come into a company and show some quick and instant results based on, studying their market and looking at their product, finding the right people. Yeah, really customized marketing solutions that drive activity. Mm-hmm. And for me, that's always what we've been able to do is to figure out the right campaigns to drive revenue or drive leads, whatever it is that you're looking to do. And so I would say in business, that's pretty much, if we had a superpower, that's what it would be.
Are you able to share your biggest win? Like,
biggest win, that would be, we've had so many big wins. The one that immediately comes to mind is a company that was just launching a credit type app, we'll just say. And they needed a bunch of people to join and to use the application. So what we did was kind of threefold. We would work with authors at Yahoo. We worked with a bunch of bloggers. We worked with a bunch of influencers. And we were able to pixel a lot of these sites, especially the bloggers. Yahoo, we had to buy ads, but we were able to pixel these sites so that when we ran all the content, and we had like 30 articles, we had a bunch of social media around this, and the influencers, Yahoo, and these bloggers all went out and talked about this app at the same time. And so what happened was they drove a lot of initial activity to it. And because the customers were pixeled at the time, we went and remarketed to them. And those remarketing efforts included influencers. We recorded separate content with those influencers. And we were able to not only get an initial huge lift, like we've had over 50,000 people download the app, but then subsequent lifts from the remarketing. So the next week was like 5,000. The week after that was 2,000. It does dwindle, but just an incredible start for this company. And it didn't really cost that much. It was just, everything just hit properly. The app itself was amazing. The content was amazing. We got the right influencers, and we had somebody that knew how to do remarketing. So that's just one that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's I love hearing wins. So I just had to ask you. I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I just wanted to hear some positivity, right? Like, that's just amazing. And how you come up with this in your world to put that together. It's an image, right? It's a view that you had when you created it. So I'm glad that it was successful. And if you ever need an influencer, let me know. I'll help where I can.
Excellent. Appreciate that.
No
I'm glad you
problem.
didn't ask about losses. That would have been a totally different discussion.
Yes. Well, you could share a loss. If there's a big loss, I would love to hear about it.
I wouldn't say there's a big loss,
Mm-hmm.
but if you don't understand your customer and you put something out there, I did this early in my career, and you put something out there that doesn't resonate with them, then yeah, you're gonna lose big. And hopefully, you haven't spent a lot of money. You have to test. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
if you're an entrepreneur,
It's all
even before your
testing.
product's developed, yeah, I would put some sort of ad about your product out there and see what the reaction is. This is even before it's built,
Yeah.
just to see if there's an audience for it. If it's very innovative, if it's a Me Too, obviously there's an audience, and you try to not just enlarge the market but steal from your competitors.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's a brand new product or service, I like to advertise to make sure I've got at least some general interest, and then I can tweak and refine from there before I actually build the product.
Yeah, so excellent suggestion, because it's always recommended, right? You just, even if you do a surveys and get that information, what do people want? Like, they're the ones that are going to buy it, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not big on asking people what they have that they don't have, because that's the entrepreneur's job.
Yeah.
I would rather just say, okay, what if we created this? This is what made Kickstarter so popular.
Mm-hmm.
What if we made this? Would you buy into it? Type
Yeah.
of thing. And Kickstarter was great because people were prepaying for something. Then you knew that you had a product that was
Yeah.
going to get people to buy.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you so much, man. Like, this was a great conversation. I'm happy to hear that you're seeing the success that you're seeing. All your information will be available in our show notes for anyone that wants to get in touch with you from the audience. And audience, I recommend check out Mark's information, check out his website. Get in touch with him. He's knowledgeable of marketing, and when we're in this journey, we're pretty much all together in it. Like, he's running his business, but he's catering to entrepreneurs, catering to people. But then you are also catering to someone else, whereas everything's just linked. If we get help from each other, we can grow faster, we can grow properly, and we can avoid as many mistakes as possible. And I appreciate your time, Mark. If there's any final words you would like to share with the audience, please go ahead.
I would just say, marketing is difficult, but marketing is necessary. Peter Drucker once said, and I live by this, there's really only two things to business. One is innovation, the other is marketing. I focus on the marketing side. If you focus on the innovation side, find your equivalent on the marketing side. Marketing is what drives attention, leads, and revenue.
Mm-hmm.
So recognize that you're going to need it, especially in this noisy environment.
Mm-hmm.
But finding the right team or person, that's the difficult part.
Yeah.
And you got to spend a lot of due diligence time finding those individuals or teams that can help you.
Yes. Well said, Mark. Appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on our show, and keep in touch.
My pleasure. Will do.